Welcome to Late Night Stories, a space where we pause, slow down, and listen to gentle, heartfelt stories meant for those who have walked through many seasons of life. If you're in your 60s or beyond, or simply seeking a quiet moment before sleep, this is the place for you. Tonight, I invite you to join me for a story called Late Bouquet, a quiet journey home, not with footsteps, but with the heart. It is a story of a belated apology and a bouquet offered when the person it was meant for could no longer receive it. So, make yourself a warm cup of tea, let the world soften around you, and come sit with me as we step into a story about memory, loss, and love that almost came too late. Jack Miller rushed through the lobby of a glass and steel office tower in downtown Manhattan, dressed in a perfect grey suit, a Bluetooth earpiece clipped to his ear. The morning crowd moved fast, but no one seemed as sharply focused as him. "Yes, I have the Tokyo proposal ready. I'll be in the meeting in 10, he said as he passed the security gates without breaking stride. On his sleek, modern desk, half hidden behind a stack of reports, stood a small photo frame. It was old and faded. Inside, a much younger Jack smiled in his mother's arms, both of them glowing with joy. Jack barely glanced at it. He pushed it aside to make space for another document. Deadlines came first. That night, Jack sat alone in his apartment, minimalist, cold, and quiet. The only light came from his laptop and the blue glow of the TV. He chewed microwave pasta without really tasting it. A commercial for Mother's Day played in the background. This year, don't just send flowers, send yourself. His phone vibrated. The screen read, "Mom." He stared at it, unmoving, then hit dismiss. He scrolled through his voicemail and tapped on an old message. "Hi honey, I know you're probably busy, just wanted to hear your voice. The daisies are blooming again. Take care, okay?" Her voice was soft, warm, a little tired. The silence that followed was louder than anything else in the room. The next morning, Jack stood stiffly inside a small flower shop. The air smelled of earth and sweetness. The florist, a young woman, looked up from a tray of tulips. "Can I help you?" she asked gently. Jack hesitated. "Orange daisies," he finally said. "They were my mother's favorite." She nodded and began arranging the bouquet with care. Jack watched as she wrapped them in craft paper and tied the ribbon. He stared at the flowers for a long moment before reaching for them, like holding them meant accepting something he wasn't ready to face. The bus dropped him at the edge of a small rural town. Everything was quiet, still. Trees lined the gravel road. A few children rode bikes across the lane. An elderly woman watering her garden looked up, startled. "Jack Miller, is that really you? My goodness, it's been years." Jack gave a small, polite smile, then kept walking. The road curved toward a small white house with a sagging fence and an overgrown garden. It looked exactly the same, yet different. The door was closed. Vines climbed the porch posts. Jack stood at the gate, gripping the bouquet. He walked to the town cemetery and found an old man sweeping leaves. "Excuse me," Jack said. "Margaret Miller. She was my mother." The man looked at him carefully. "You're Jack," he said after a long pause. Then he pointed to a spot under an old oak tree. "She's right there. Been gone about 2 years now." Jack walked slowly, the world around him fading. The grave was simple. Margaret E. Miller, beloved mother, patient heart. He knelt, laying the orange daisies. At the base of the stone, his hands trembled. The old man approached, holding a worn leather journal. "She came here every Sunday, rain or shine, just sat and waited. Said one day you'd come back." He held out the book. "She asked me to give you this, if you ever returned." Jack opened the journal. The handwriting was shaky. The ink faded. Each page was a window into a life he'd missed. March 4th. Jack used to climb the oak behind the house. He fell and cried for hours. I rocked him to sleep. I still remember the sound. May 10th, Mother's Day, I made lemon pie his favorite. I ate it alone. Still set the table for 2, just in case. August 19th, he didn't call this year either. But I dreamed he came home and hugged me. I cried when I woke up, but at least I dreamed. Jack's hands shook as he held the book to his chest. The tears he'd held back for years finally fell. He stepped inside the house. Dust danced in the sunbeams that filtered through the curtains. The rocking chair sat by the window, still facing the garden. Photos lined the hallway walls. Him as a baby, his graduation, his mother smiling beside him. The kitchen smelled faintly of cinnamon. On the bookshelf, beside an old Bible and a photo of them together, lay a sealed envelope. In shaky writing, it said, "To Jack, when you find your way home." He opened it. "Dear Jack, if you're reading this, it means you came, and that means everything. I know you were busy. I was proud of you, still am, but my heart always waited. There was never a day I didn't think of you. You were my best adventure. Love, Mum." Jack returned to the house where he grew up. The small wooden home stood quietly among the trees, draped in vines and dust and memories. He walked slowly up the path, each step heavy, each breath uncertain. The front door creaked open, the old hinges groaning like a tired voice welcoming him home too late. Inside, the air was still. Time had stopped here. The faded wallpaper, the chipped table in the hallway, the framed photographs along the walls, everything remained as it had been, except now they were coated in silence. There was a photo of him as a child, another in his graduation gown, and one of his mother, Margaret, smiling as she wrapped her arms around him, but no new pictures, none from the last decade. He passed through the kitchen, where the faint scent of cinnamon lingered, as if she had baked something just yesterday. A rocking chair sat beside the window, still facing out into the garden. She used to sit there every afternoon with a book in her lap and the light on her face. Jack sat in that same chair, holding her journal tightly to his chest. He looked up at the ceiling, stained with time. There was no sound, no voice, just the quiet crumbling of a heart trying to break without making a noise. Later that evening, Jack stepped out onto the old porch. The sun had dropped behind the hills, painting the sky in soft orange. He scrolled through his phone and found her final voicemail. He listened again. Then, for the first time, he hit record. His voice was quiet, unsure. "Hi Mom, I'm sorry. I should have come sooner. I should have called. I brought daisies, today, the orange ones you loved. I read your journal. I saw your words. I felt everything. I miss you. I love you. And, I promise, I won't be silent anymore." He saved the message, not to send it just to know it had been said. The next morning, Jack returned to the cemetery. He carried a fresh bouquet of orange daisies. The grass was wet with dew. The stone felt cold beneath his hand. He knelt, replacing the withered flowers from the day before, carefully brushing the dirt away from her name. "I'll be back next week," he whispered, "and every week after. I promise." A soft breeze rustled the leaves above. The old oak tree swayed gently. For a fleeting moment, he closed his eyes and felt something light on his shoulder, nothing visible. Just a warmth, like a hand he hadn't felt in years. He stayed a little longer, not to speak, but just to be with her. Back in the city, Jack stood just outside the boardroom. His assistant called from the hallway. "Jack, Tokyo is ready. They're waiting." He checked his phone. There were meetings stacked one after another, but none of them felt urgent anymore. He turned slowly and shook his head. "Cancel it," he said. "I'm going to visit my mum." He walked away from the fluorescent lights and glass walls, bouquet in hand. Sunlight poured through the entrance doors as they closed behind him. For once, he wasn't walking toward another deadline. He was walking towards something real. This is for every mother who waited quietly, faithfully, for their child to come home. And for every child who still has time. Don't let your bouquet arrive too late. Go home. We often assume our parents will always be there waiting, like a house that never locks its door. But time doesn't wait. There are hugs we never gave, words we meant to say but never did. The bouquet Jack brought home wasn't placed in his mother's hands, only at her grave. Yet in every petal was his love, his sorrow, and his awakening. Let us remember, love unspoken becomes regret. Don't let your gratitude arrive too late. Thank you for joining me tonight for the story Late Bouquet. If this story reminded you of a mother, a father, or an old promise you haven't kept, I hope you'll hold on to that feeling as proof that your heart still remembers, still loves, and still hopes to return. Don't forget to follow Late Night Stories, where every story is a quiet gift for the soul. I wish you a peaceful night, a restful sleep, and if you can, tomorrow, call someone you love.